the update, but I have noticed Chrome is slow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
usually happens when updates happen. When did that come out?
Last week.
It usually happens when Chrome is
I've already
running.
gotten it. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
already
that's
gotten it. So,
And actually, it happens a lot when it's not, too. Or when you don't think it.
oh yeah. So okay. All right. That's why when I rebooted last night, that's I guess when I got the new version. Guess. Excellent. So I didn't have that issue.
all right. Checking sound. We got our broadcast.
Phoenix is confirming. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It's
Hold your
Friday.
horses, Michael. You're not in charge of this. It's not doing good. John had high hopes for you. So does Nick.
Well, we've noticed that certain streams sometimes are more or better than others at different times. It's nice to have a backup. So Twitch, YouTube, hopefully one will cooperate.
Yep, we're good on both. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It's a Friday, ending up our evening, and we are here to provide support or answer any questions for our software and services. And if you have any of those, you can jump over to our IRC chat here, where you can ask any of those questions or even direct our random rambling. And otherwise, let's get it started here. I think we got a whole bunch of links from Phoenix, so we can discuss some of those. Or anybody else have anything going on? Or how's it going?
Did we remember that issue? And I don't recall me mentioning it, but I very well may have. You remember that with my processor and it having to do the 32-bit version of Windows 10? Did I discuss that on the show?
No, I don't think so. The AMD.
Yeah. So I ran into an interesting situation where I had a really old box, and I thought, well, before the upgrade, Windows 10 upgrade runs out, I'm gonna upgrade it to Windows 10, and it had 764 on it previously, Windows 764 Ultimate on it. So I proceed to attempt to upgrade it, and it tells me that, or I can't. I'm actually, let me step back. The hard drive had failed, and I have a spare hard drive, so I put a hard drive in, and I needed to reload the OS. So I basically said, okay, well, since it accepts Windows 10 now accepts the Windows 7 product keys, I'll just do that. And so I tried to do the load, and it kept locking up, just abruptly stopping on the screen where it displays the circle logo, and so I was like, why? I kept trying, and I kept on thinking it was something else had failed. It's an ancient machine, so it's got an Athlon 64X2 processor, 4400, I guess, or 4200, one of those. Or no, excuse me, not 42, 22. Sorry, it's obviously that old school is not going to be that fast. 22 or 2400. At any rate, so what ended up being the problem was that it turns out Microsoft deprecated support in Windows 8 or 8.164 for older processors that didn't support a very specific instruction. I can't remember the instruction. It's like comp exchange 16 or 32, something like that. But these processors didn't support that, and Microsoft had implemented a software workaround for those processors previously, and they've deprecated that with, like I said, 8.1 and 10 at least, if not since 8. And that means that this machine can only get the 32-bit version of Windows 10. The Windows 10 32-bit installs just fine. The 64-bit locks up. I would have thought Microsoft would have kind of caught the error and maybe said something to indicate the processor wasn't supported, but that's not how it presented to me on my old system. Now, I have a very popular old motherboard that you'll still see quite a lot of posts about, the Asus A8V Deluxe. It's in socket 939, I believe, Athlon 64. It was originally a single core, and then I updated it with a newer processor through it. But if anybody has a really old system, and this system is capable of running Windows 10, albeit a little slowly, but it is capable of doing that. If any of you with shops out there have seen this before, I'd be interested to know, because it's my first experience, and what you've had to do for your customers, and if there's ever been a question regarding whether or not they're okay without a 64-bit OS, because let's say it was a situation where I had more than 4 gigs of RAM. I don't in this particular machine, but if I did, then my real only choice is to stick with Windows 7 for 64-bit support on that platform. And that completely contradicts what Microsoft would want you to do, and that is not remain on Windows 7.
Hey, Phoenix, chill out on the language, man.
Yeah, wow, that was a little harsh. But regardless of the reasons, I mean, it's a very old platform. Obviously, you're probably going to be telling these customers to just upgrade, I would imagine, rather than go through this discussion. But if the system is functional and they want to take advantage of the Windows 10 opportunity, they're going to have to possibly make a sacrifice.
Yeah, so anyway, interesting. I thought it was related to they dropped support for older Intel stuff too, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it's both. It has nothing to do specifically with AMD. It's any chip that doesn't support that instruction, and it does include Intel chips as well. But you got to go pretty far back before the Northwood Pentium 4s to not have that instruction. So, it'd be hard pressed to find a machine that old, that capable of still running, Windows 10 from them. Although it's a lot more likely from, I believe, AMD with their product line.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Phoenix had a ton of links he posted here. The first one that looked interesting was MPAA Signs anti-deal piracy with a large domain registry. I didn't really pick up from that article what exactly that meant, but I'm guessing they turn over the names of people or they take things down faster without having to go through legislation. I don't know. That article is kind of sparse on any details. He also posted that EU draft reveals Geo Blocking can stay for video. So I think they're doing a lot of that in the UK, which the UK may be dropping out of the EU. So that may not have too much consequence, but there's other countries in the EU, I guess, that it would care about. Nintendo took down another game because they like protecting their source codes, apparently, and intellectual property.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah. Then Firefox is begging the courts to tell them what exploit the FBI used to hack Tor people because lots of people use Firefox and they want to make it better for their users and safer. And Pirate Bay loses its main domain name in court battle, so I guess you can't go to piratebay.com anymore. Or
well, that's not probably going to do much to stop it. But what you're throwing these out pretty freaking quick here, man.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot to talk about on any of these. But
okay.
Yeah, it's just a little news. That's all.
I thought you were having some sort of reaction for a moment. I didn't know what was going on. But I was refreshing my feed, one of my news feeds, and I saw a flicker of a Pi 3 story, but I can't.
You didn't even want to talk about that. You just wanted to talk about something else.
I can't get back to. I can't find the article though.
Pi 3, the Raspbian OS has been updated, and they majorly updated the Bluetooth stack to be more compatible with Raspberry Pi 3's built-in Bluetooth.
Oh, that's sweet. Maybe that'll the finalize the 64-bit stuff on it too. Cool.
Raspbian's not doing 64-bit stuff, so.
Oh, they're still not doing that yet. Okay.
Yep, and Phoenix just pointed out another one where Petya is basically teamed up with another ransomware. So, and Phoenix, I was going to talk about your Windows 7 update scans. That does not solve the issue, so keep searching on that one. The only thing that I found
that same one. That was the same one I looked at, Phoenix. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it doesn't.
It really doesn't help at all. The only thing I found that helps is using Windows Offline to update it, and that updates fairly fast. But the other one doesn't. Sorry, RTM Tech. It doesn't look like either Twitch nor YouTube are streaming for me, but I would recommend going to YouTube and turning the content size down if it's buffering a lot on YouTube still.
Is this a daily problem, or is this just a today thing? I mean, it is Friday the 13th, of course, so who knows what that has to do with it. But if it's not the bandwidth, right? Because Proctor, you always do it, right? And
it's streaming for Foolish Tech Eric too, so it's working.
Okay, good. I just want the experience to be pretty, as good as possible for you guys out there.
Phoenix had also posted that the easy to boot guy posted a how-to to do Grub2 menus. So if you wanted to do those, Chrome may be able to kill Flash, which I thought Chrome had already used its own Flash player.
Yeah, Chrome. But it's basically bundled inside of Chrome, so it technically still is Flash, and I guess technically would still be vulnerable to any Flash vulnerabilities. But I would hope that Google would obviously incorporate any of those fixes at least as quickly as Adobe does it themselves. But again, you just shouldn't be going to sites that use that type of content.
Yeah, there's the Raspberry Pi article that you were looking for, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
The update for that. Here is an interesting one. Cedar Point apparently has the tallest, fastest, longest dive coaster in the world, and as soon as Chrome catches up with what I'm doing to it, I'll post a link that you can ride it in first-person view. It's super. It looks like it would be super fun, but 2 minutes on a roller coaster, I would not want to wait in the line that you probably have to wait to get a seat like that in that roller coaster for just 2 minutes of acceleration. So,
did you already mention the? You did, right? The computer support ads being banned on.
That's what I was about to add here. So Bing is banning all computer support ads from their ad networks, and it's due to what we commonly know as the computer support scams. But I was kind of feeling that would be a hindrance on our industry, and I really don't feel like our entire industry should be blamed for bad people taking advantage of it. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of reputable people that do computer support ads and would be worth it. So Cherie posted a link for a private eye setup to do your Raspberry Pi with some cameras and things. Looks like it's got motion detectors and all kinds of stuff with that one, so that looks cool.
Cool.
And yeah, I don't really know who uses Bing ads, but my concern is if Bing does it and then Google picks up on it and does it, because Google also just recently banned payday loans, and for no reason other than they just don't agree with payday loans, as Michael's opinion on it is. So
yeah, but I think that's a broad opinion, and I think it's supported by the evidence.
It is, but you have to understand that these things exist for a reason. I've used a payday loan place before. I paid it off in a timely manner, and it was fine.
I know, but these things tend to take advantage of the
people that live paycheck to paycheck and then really need their paycheck before they get their paycheck, and then don't think of the consequence that they're not going to be able to pay it off when they get their paycheck. They get it so that they can pay something off that's not a average paycheck to paycheck thing.
Yeah, but those people actively seek out the people. These companies actively seek out the people that can't pay it, and
they don't. They hand it out to anyone that has a job.
I think it comes down to personal responsibility, and I think that's one of the problems we have in this country is people aren't responsible for their own decisions. I wouldn't
have a problem with it if there was.
Did I ever learn about?
You're right. Ultimately, Brantley, you're right. You're right, Brantley. But I just believe that maybe there should be some oversight if you're going to have it. Right now, it's largely unregulated. It's not regulated.
They try to regulate it. They just change it up every time because then they'll
exactly.
get car loans and
Exactly. But when that type of thing happens, it suggests that maybe the practice is a little bit questionable. But I won't pass judgment on it. I'll just say that if they're going to allow it, they probably should have some level of oversight to consumer protection. That's it. I don't care beyond that. But again, we don't want people to limit our choices. And from that aspect of it, I guess I'm in agreement, right? I mean, we don't want somebody to prevent us, if we wanted to, from getting a loan, even if it was to our gravest disadvantage. We want the choice to be able to both help ourselves as well as hurt ourselves.
Well, I mean, it's an issue with people in general that live paycheck to paycheck. What happens is, say your car breaks down and you need your car to get your paycheck.
Yeah, I understand.
Then you go to the payday advance place, you get your car fixed, but then when the next paycheck comes up, instead of paying that off, you're paying for things that you would normally pay for on your paycheck to paycheck salary. So you don't have the money to pay that off, and that's when the interest rates start killing.
Now, most banks just wouldn't, but most, like a bank wouldn't issue those loans, or they have rules against preventing them from issuing the type of loans that they know can't be paid based upon debt to income ratios and other things. And so that sort of, that doesn't really come into play, I don't think, in these situations. But again, a little bit more oversight would I think satisfy us both in this regard.
Yeah. What were you trying to interrupt with, Nick? You'd said something and then
it's not important. It's not.
Phoenix mentioned that he uses ads for his business. I'm just curious as to what different services he uses, if he wants to talk about it.
Yeah, we would be interested in hearing about those.
Brantley, did you see the thing about I know we had talked about it previously, the issue with the open source firmware on routers and whether or not the FCC rules would prevent or allow that from happening,
Linksys is going with what the FCC actually says and instead of what all the other routers interpreted it to say.
Yeah, but it's at least, I mean, it's they're taking the sensible approach.
Pointed that out like a year ago when this thing came out.
You talking about the firmware thing and the whole
having to have the serial number or whatever in the firmware, and they took that as we can't allow anybody
who wanted to listen. There was like
so it took them, and basically it took everyone.
Now Linksys is promoting themselves as we're going to ignore the FCC rules and let you hack our firmware.
Well,
which is not at all what the FCC rules say.
That's not.
You're just not even like close on that. They're just trying to use that as, hey, look at us, buy our routers.
Isn't this an example of the problem with social media promotion of news, or what is or maybe isn't news? Because essentially, Nick did point this out to.
It's the problem with news in general nowadays. No one does their research. No one does things analytically. They just try to get something out and then try to get something else out right after that.
These stories are effectively presenting the information in an objective viewpoint, because again, this is clearly
biased. Sure, I'm video like reading and interpreting the
there is we did have a show where we talked about it in detail, but it's Michael. It's not just social media news. It's just news in general.
Because no one reads the link. No one goes to the source.
No, I'm saying the news people don't even go into the source.
That's the problem. I think they
national news coverage.
You take one sentence from a paragraph of context, and when you extract one little sentence, then it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that regular news people do that on a regular basis as well. No one does research anymore or actually says.
Why not? Aren't they paid to do that? Isn't that what a reporter's supposed to do?
Yeah.
I'm happy you made my day, Brantley.
So this is worrying. ISIS has released a learning app to teach kids about tanks and rockets.
And
weapons. Isn't that scary?
Neat.
This was a cool Lifehacker article I just came across that there's a thing called FakeSpot to analyze Amazon reviews to spot fake reviews. So it will help you get a better rating on the device you're looking at and kind of weed through the reviews and things of that nature. There were some others. There's some scary things going on too with kids and technology. So check this out. So apparently teens skipped class, went to some place, and then used Facebook's now live streaming feature to live stream themselves having sex. Oh. And kids that were in health class tuned in to watch it off Facebook's live stream while they're in school. Now, also, like, I mean, it kind of ranges on all kinds of things. Like, that's child pornography.
Yeah, it violates a ton of laws, a ton of
all
them.
Kinds of things going on with that. So the fact that Facebook allowed and got that to happen is kind of dangerous.
Yeah, there maybe wasn't enough. You know, these companies argue that for children and that they can identify who their users are based upon age, and that they can restrict access to them. I mean, that's not the case. I mean, look, when has asking for your date of birth ever prevented a child from getting access to something? I mean, and for them to have maybe given people the impression that they did have that control, I think is probably worse in this situation because.
Well, I'm saying that the issue that Facebook didn't have some sort of preventative measure on that in the first place.
Well, exactly. I mean,
like maybe you shouldn't allow people under the age of 18 to live stream things.
Well, the idea is that.
I mean, again, that falls back to they can just say they're 18. But
their defense is that they signed or accepted a license agreement that said that they had to be of 18 years of age to accept it, and they weren't. So I mean,
I'm wondering about the legal consequences of it too, because if somebody tunes into that, does Facebook now have a record of them having tuned in to that live?
And how many people? How many
hand over that information to the FBI?
How many accounts are flagged? How many accounts are flagged now for viewing child pornography for these kids? So potentially, could these kids at some point later in their lives have evidence presented that they were involved in a pornography ring, I guess, as it were, in this case, and what impact that could have on their future lives. These have extremely far-reaching consequences, and Brantley is not understating that in any way. That needs to be addressed. I don't think the parents of this country or anywhere, frankly, would and that's the problem. They're not as involved in their kids. I would argue that if the involvement of the parents were there with the kids, that maybe they would know that they're engaged in these types of things. Maybe it's not good that you don't know what your kid is you don't know what your kid's doing on the phone. Maybe you should, but it's very difficult with technology to get that balance. Even if you do want to be a part of your kid's development, you can't always be spying over their shoulder, I suppose, but and you do need to allow them certain freedoms to make their own choices. But where does the parent responsibility come in, and where does the Facebook's responsibility or some government responsibility come in that regard? It's tough, man. I don't know the answers to these questions.
Yeah.
Hey.
What? Huh? What?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. So another interesting thing too is this person was captured or arrested, but a Tinder user got kidnapped and beaten by a man that she met through the app and was held for like 6 days.
Oh, dang.
Ooh.
So like these are some dangerous things going on. Following, I don't have the link right offhand, but the same thing with the Facebook live streaming is there was the Periscope app, which focuses on doing live streams. They had someone record their suicide on that.
Yeah.
Stream that as well. So it's kind of crazy where things are going with all this live streaming and instant access to those kind of things.
I don't know, Future Checker, sometimes we just get fed up and there's really not anything we can do, and maybe it's not even worth the energy to rant at this point because it's, there's no clear direction we can move into, and none of us are all going to be in agreement on this issue. It's a very...
Now you're ranting about not ranting.
Yeah, it raises too many questions.
Okay. So, and kind of on all of the same nature, and we had talked about the dangers of this happening before, but apparently UPS is going for it and giving you up-to-the-minute tracking of your packages on a map. So we had talked about that, like, why don't they do that kind of tracking? And we were like, oh yeah, because you'll go run down the UPS man wherever he is and like, give me my package. Yeah. I need that.
Well, let's see. I wonder if it puts them at risk, those drivers, because,
I think it'll be
off at a delivery person and potentially stalk.
It would be. Just imagine. Just
imagine. Like what Glenn said.
I ran down the UPS man if I missed my package and it didn't get delivered.
Yeah, if you missed it, then that would be a second.
There'd be people following that thing on GPS. They'd be
I mean, I'm thinking of people like that are waiting for a package are going to be the ones that are worse off than the I missed the package.
Logistics, y'all. Logistics. Trust it.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys talk about something that's also important, the job market, obviously, in the nation, as far as Wendy and what they plan to do as far as automation is concerned? Did you guys talk about that? Wendy's. So anyway, it looks like they're going to automate 6,000 restaurants, and that they don't go into detail, obviously, about how that's going to involve.
You're going to have kiosks, so you can just walk up, push a button, get your food.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, what about the jobs involved? I guess this
what
is
about the jobs? Need some minimum wages going up. Everything sucks for a company, apparently.
If I were a fast food chain, with the possibility or with the increase of the minimum wage, I would definitely go automated.
I mean, why isn't fast food already automated, honestly?
Already have to tell them which buttons to push.
Like, I think the only reason it's not automated is because of the people that work there. Yeah, it's because it's actually cheaper right now to pay someone to be.
It's actually going to create a huge problem.
What?
Well, and like Michael's talking about the jobs, and you can say what about the jobs and what about the jobs, but obviously it will create a huge problem. But it's kind of a huge problem that wouldn't really exist if it were not for technology in this particular case. I think I don't think that government policy that would potentially keep jobs in the country, higher paying jobs, I don't think that has evolved quick enough for technology. I mean, like with everything else that has evolved too slowly for technology, this one really should have been the first thing that anyone should have been worrying about. And so I guess where I'm at right now is that it does seem to me like there's a lot of policy that lets a lot of jobs go out, even things that are skilled trade,
Yeah, well, I mean, developing and call center stuff goes overseas almost immediately. And then
but even skilled trade stuff, even like furniture and things like that, it didn't stop at clothes. So it's getting to the point now where once the fast food industry and all of the other industries that that are slow to catch on with the technology because they need more like physical automation of things. Now that they are catching into that, it's like there are going to be a flood. I mean, when Wendy's just all of a sudden has no human workers.
Well,
imagine.
I mean,
not Wendy's, but because
you
they're
think
going
that people are going to have to fix those machines, so those jobs aren't going
Well,
anywhere.
no, people are going to have to fix them, but a
that.
fraction of those people, Brantley, a fraction of the people that are employed
Yeah,
now.
it's a
small
much smaller percentage of people that would be
and
employed.
they're also going to have to be more trained and skilled, and that's going to be another
That's
issue.
going to be a challenge. You can't just convert the old employees to the new ones.
There hasn't even been a reason for a lot of people to strive for it. It's not that the people wouldn't, but it's just like the need for that hasn't been there.
And with the quality of education declining in this country, there's less and less of a qualified workforce, and that's another reason for the H-1B visas and things like that. So it's a.
I'm hoping this is the worst case scenario. Yes, Eric.
I hope so too.
Yeah, but it is a little scary when you think, and the fast food industry is not the only thing we're talking about here. It's the only thing we're talking about directly, but.
Well, I mean, movie theaters could easily be replaced except for the cleanup crew. The projection crew has already been replaced by digital.
My whole point was is if this were predicted 40, 50 years ago, or even 30, 25 years ago, maybe it wouldn't be such a scary thing at the moment, but
I think it still would be.
It would still be scary, but it actually kind of reflects on how our government has sold out.
But I mean, what would our government do to create jobs for those people?
Change policy to promote local
jobs. You can create jobs. You can only keep them from going somewhere.
Yeah. They
and there's a balance there, but what I'm saying is they've been. What I'm saying is that as there's a balance there, and with the government doing what they do, and not knowing, not having any sort of foresight whatsoever to how technology was going to take over.
RTM Tech says H-1B is still out of the American worker. These are complicated topics. There's not. If we knew a clear path, I think if anyone knew a clear path, I think we would be pursuing.
Well, and it's a complicated thing because you have to keep the jobs here by taxing the import and the export and the labor and everything, but you also have to keep the companies here.
Well, I mean,
by not taxing the corporation,
a lot of stuff is going to be replaced by technology. Like all of your low-paying, no-skill required jobs. Taxis are going to become automated, autonomous.
Yeah, some more taxi jobs.
Already, movie theaters could easily be replaced. I mean, all you have to do is
public transportation.
They actually have tellers outside of that are already.
Brantley worked in them. I'm just saying, you did work in a movie theater, right?
I did.
Okay, good. Then I can just go ahead and say that I can remember you talking about it fondly. I think you would still work there if it paid.
I would. It's a fun place to work. You ain't got to do nothing. It's so nothing.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies that
chronicle. I'm not saying that I don't think that.
I'm just saying that you ought to know that one can be automated. You ought to know.
Yeah, that work can easily be automated. And even public transportation, like Michael.
I spent. You know what? I spent like 4.5 years in a Little Caesars Pizza, to be honest with you. So I know that could probably be automated to a good extent too. I'm telling you.
Eric has a D7 question.
The same thing there.
Where we've got.
I'm saying even teachers could be automated. Eric, teachers with internet and stuff.
Eric wants to use 9
for 30 years that pulled the cassette tapes out of the backup drives. They could do that with pizza dough.
Eric wants to use 9.8 and D7 to download a bunch of third-party programs you usually install. Yeah, so, and there's D7.2 works with 9.8.
So you have to have the pro version of 9.8. You have to have 9.8.1, I believe it's called. You can't use the web-based free app. And you just put that in
there's a web-based bit of 9.8. There's like a web-based version of 9.8 where you can customize what you want 9.8 to do, and it creates an installer that doesn't use command line parameters or something. If you use that, it's not going to work. You can use the same web interface to download or create your 9.8.1 executable. which is what you need. Which is basically the executable that you're customizing on the website, but it's just available.
I didn't know it gave you an installer. I thought it just installed those programs for you.
No, you can. They have a web interface, or they used to, where you could customize an executable, and it would actually create one for you on demand, and then it would download, so you didn't have to use command line parameters with it or something.
Yeah.
But the one executable is the full, software, and that's what you need. D7 D7.2 needs that for the command line parameter support, which you wouldn't have with custom executable. Otherwise, if you were doing the custom executable, actually you could really just do it as a custom app. If you never really needed to change it, but you would just be doing that on 9.8's website anyway.
So if you have 9.1, you can use the built-in 9.8 on a 9.8 tab on the maintenance page, and you can select what updates and software that you want to install with that. And then as long as 9.1 executable is in your third-party tools, it'll run that stuff automatically. I think in the maintenance tab, you'd also want to have the custom action of install 9.1.
Correct. So. That has to be present for it to work.
Yep. But yeah, so that's an easy way to do it. I'm loading up the web page now because, as I remember it, at least recently when I checked it, which hadn't been that recent, but it's been since they changed where 1 is pro only and you have to pay for it. I thought the website did its own launching thing, like it didn't have an installer.
No, it downloads executable, but it's a customized executable according to what you do on what you configure on the website. And then when you get that download, it you could run it immediately, but it that's how it used to work. It's been a few years since we don't have do we still have an account?
Yeah. We should.
Because we didn't. We didn't for a while.
We didn't, and we asked them, and they gave it back to us. But it may have ended at the beginning of this year. We'll have to check into that.
Yeah, it seems like we got it back, and then it expired again.
Well, they were going to have it expire after a while. They didn't just give us a full-on free for everyone.
We're not making money off of this, y'all. We're helping you. But no, yeah, see if that's still that way.
Yeah, so you can get a custom. It does give you a custom installer.
Mm-hmm. But you also have an option to download the full thing still, right?
Well, if you get 9.8 Pro, you can do the full thing, but that's a subscription service, I believe.
Oh, well, what are you logged into? What?
I'm not logged in. I'm just using their free version.
Oh, yes, the free version doesn't do that. I could have told you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and their subscription rate is per computer that you plan to use it on, and either monthly or annually. And they have prices listed up to 1,000.
Wait, what? What?
Phoenix is confirming some of what you're saying, and Brantley is
9.8 Pro. See, this is what you get if you use the free version, which is just this page where you can just download.
Right. We'll skip.
I will do that. But if you want the Pro version, which works with D7.2, then you would have to use this one, which the subscription plans are right here. So,
wow!
You want $20 a month for 100, $50 for 250, $95 for 500, $185 for 1,000.
Wow, $185 a month.
Sorry. Sorry, we're doing our E6.
Seriously? No, it used like it was a subscription, but like it wasn't per machine. I never remembered that.
Yeah.
Ours was pay for, and then it was pay for subscription, and then I was like, all right, but it was like per machine.
Any technician can use it, but it's only about the total number of machines that you use it on.
But you're using it once. I mean,
I don't know.
well, I mean, but how can they?
That would take up that once, and then you'd lose.
Well, it would, but.
Well, so I mean, if I'm paying for a month one, I would say I get 100 per month. But I'm not sure how you would have to contact them about their licensing terms.
Well, I kind of understand what they're doing, but I think for technicians, they really should rethink that. I mean.
Yeah, I think they're aiming at support.
They're aiming for they're aiming for like enterprise or like MSP at worst, but.
Yeah.
Advert for 981 on Twitter.
Because we're showing off the 991 page.
That's funny. Maybe we should look into Twitter ads. No, I'm just kidding. Because why would you? That's actually kind of. I mean, I get it. Like if it pops up while someone's talking, like I understand that, but I guess it depends on the content. But for the network, most of the people are probably going to have the product already, or I don't know, maybe not. I don't care. I hate ads.
Yeah, you'd have to contact them about their licensing terms. Is the best.
Well, I don't care because Oh, that yeah.
So, did that answer your question, Eric?
I think we got off, and then there's like 20 other conversations going on.
Yeah, because Michael keeps posting random links.
No, you want me to talk about them?
Well,
I'll talk about them. They're just very brief. But basically, for anybody with a MacBook Pro, there's some new, Apple OS update that might have or pose problems for you, whoever that may affect out there. But I thought was more interesting was the tech work culture in China. Their tech sector is booming, and we've talked about at times in the past, the American tech culture and how, sometimes the engineers and things are driven, and they may be putting in additional hours and stuff like that. But, it certainly doesn't even hold a candle, apparently, to what the Chinese workforce is doing as far as actually living in their work environment and having accommodations for passing out from not sleeping for periods of time. So, and there
was another link about the poultry industry. You have to wear diapers because they routinely don't allow bathroom breaks.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's in the U.S. Great. Wow. Well, so the Chinese story was, I think, about choice. I don't think anybody was forced to do these jobs, but but no bathroom breaks. That seems illegal. I can't imagine. See, that's the whole point. I mean, we don't want government oversight of anything, but if business could just do whatever they wanted to, they'd probably do away with all those things.
Yeah. So speaking of overworking, apparently France is one step closer to helping with that in their government. They're working on an email ban for after work emails.
I heard this, but whoa, this is just a bill that passed. I don't know that this is actually, I mean, it's one step closer, sure, but I don't necessarily believe this means that this will happen. To enforce something like this would be almost impossible, I believe. So I'd hold back on this one a little bit. I think it's crazy.
I don't see how that's not enforceable.
Well,
if you're required to respond to an email after work hours, then that would be clearly traceable and enforceable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but what sort of
email after work hours, that would be clearly traceable and workable and enforceable.
But Well, I guess it would just be the consumer's obligation to report the problem. There wouldn't be. I get you. I misinterpreted it. I'm sorry. I thought they were going to maybe try to physically ban it. So like to to put something in. Yeah. Okay.
Just like it's enforceable for bathroom breaks, like it's something you can track down and find out.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then that's okay. Well, then I'm sorry for misinterpreting that, but that seems reasonable. That very well may pass then. Yeah.
So this was a really cool article, I thought, as well. These people put in a bunch of GPS trackers into their old electronics that they were throwing away, not even throwing away, but giving to places that disposed of electronics, and they were tracking where it ended up going.
No doubt.
And you can see a lot of it ends up going overseas. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Finding out where it goes.
Yeah. Are you linked to that?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
I think it's not. I thought no one. I wonder why ours is dead. I was like,
It shows you logged in somewhere.
well, yeah, no, I'm logged in. It just like quit scrolling with new messages. I must have clicked it or something. Yeah.
Phoenix says a phone keeps going off. Sounds like a country sound or something.
That's got to be on Proctor's end somehow.
No.
I don't hear anything. Has anyone heard a phone?
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I haven't been listening to the stream
It's
audio.
like in your house. The call is coming from inside the house.
Brantley, did you see that? I don't know what to think about this, but Canada is gonna so parents who refuse to vaccinate the children are gonna have to take a class. That's kind of
that should be required in America too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on this are. I believe that there's a lack of education issue with vaccinations, particularly because of some of the misinformation that was put around. But there have been clear, peer-reviewed evidence to suggest absolutely contrary to what those claims were, and it seems like this is just selective listening.
Even still, the risk versus reward is greatly outnumbered. So
no, I'm not defending it in any way. I'm not defending it in any way.
If they need a class to teach them that, then I completely agree that if they don't want to have their kids vaccinated, sure, make sure they're educated about it.
I don't know. Class, like
what about forcing? I mean, if you were, what about your religious? There's some religions that don't want doctor intervention with the body, and and it's just the body and God, and that's it.
I mean, it's not like they're from what I read, they weren't saying you have to take this class and then you have to let your kids.
It's just so you can sign the release, so you don't have to give it to them. Yeah,
clear education that a doctor shouldn't be providing when they're saying, "Hey, do you want vaccination?"
As long as they can't force the action, though, I mean, that I believe would be overstepping a little bit. They can't enforce it, but they can certainly do everything in their power to promote it and at least present the information objectively and let them make their informed decision at that point. But there's paranoid people who believe any of the information given to them is there to change their mind for the worse, and of course, they're going to discount that just as readily as everything else. I don't know. I don't know the statistics. It'd be interesting to see if these programs like this actually provide results. It's all well and good to say it might help, but does it actually?
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Speaking of help your life. If you want to watch Matthew McConaughey make weird noises for 4 minutes, you can now do it thanks to YouTube.
Oh, God bless YouTube. Matthew McConaughey? 4 minutes of him making noises?
Yeah.
That's a little bit longer than most of his films, right? No, I'm just joking. But
hey, I have a question. Was that what was that Danny Trejo eating a taco on YouTube?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Was that like a 1 or 3 of him just eating a taco? I didn't actually watch it.
Danny Trejo.
It was just him eating a taco.
Or maybe I did watch
it from.
So,
I remember.
Anybody use fitness tracking apps on their cell phone? There's Runkeeper program apparently is collecting your data all the time and sending it to advertisers. I mean, I'm sure that was in their license agreements that everyone probably just accepted, but you know,
Phoenix,
if you know of anyone
to answer
using that.
your question there, it does look like they do have firmware updates available. I have not tried it on mine, but for a lot of their models, they do have firmware updates.
Hey, young man. Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think that would be. I mean, I don't necessarily think they would have frequent firmware updates, but I would think that they did. Can you explore that, Brantley? Can you try to upgrade your firmware on yours right now?
Maybe sometime. No, I'm not going to do it right now.
Next show, maybe.
No, I probably. It works fine for me. I only upgrade firmwares when it is not working fine.
Okay.
Exactly, Eric. That's what I thought. It was a great 4 minutes of my life, honestly, but some people may think it's a waste. Otherwise, this is pretty cool. Apparently, 1,100 nuclear targets got declassified, and this interactive map will show you what happens if we had selected one of these as a target and then set off various sized nuclear attacks there, and then also show you the fallout due to weather on the current day. So it's a pretty interesting data there that they have plotted and graphed for you. So check that out. And hey, I'm kind of excited about this news. Google is open sourcing its most powerful language parser. So now anyone can add voice recognition to their app. That's pretty nice. Google's has been fairly good at picking it up. I yell at my watch all the time, and it does a pretty good job of picking that stuff up. So speaking of Canada and interesting ways they handle health problems, they have a billboard in Canada that encourages you to text and drive, and it's sponsored by a funeral home.
Doesn't that cross a line or something?
Text and drive, Wathan Funeral Home.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I mean, as long as it doesn't promote it, you know. But don't you?
It is promoting it. It's promoting it via sarcasm.
Yeah, but sarcasm is not always 100% conveyed, you know, especially when you don't have contextual sounds and things in a voice to interpret. So on a billboard, I would think it would not be terribly effective form of communication. I mean, most people would probably understand it in context, but I'm just concerned that it would potentially, on that odd chance the person has no clue about anything, that they would actually think that they should do it if they don't understand what a funeral home does. I don't know. Just be careful. You know, people. There's always better stupid, right? So, you know, I can see something like that happen.
This is one of the reasons why I don't participate.
Hey, Brent. Sorry. Hey, sorry, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the language. Man.
What did I say?
I told him to say that. Yes.
That's bad.
Well, who's
Just
the kid
watch
talking?
your language.
I don't remember what I said. Okay.
Proctor, do you have Hangouts open and making noises?
Oh yeah, Hangouts is open.
Is it making are you getting messages and stuff?
Yeah, I've gotten several messages.
Oh, then
that's exactly why.
Wait. Tell them right now what happened. You remember who? Who do you remember?
I remember when
you remember me?
Yes, I remember when you threw me in the pool.
I kicked you in the pool. Get it right. I didn't throw you. I kicked you. I kicked him in the back.
No, you didn't. You just threw me in the pool.
I kicked you in the back.
You're just being cruel.
You were hanging onto the stairs, so I was gonna push you in, but I accidentally ended up just kicking you, and you held onto the stairs, and then that's why your back fell. If you hadn't been holding onto the stairs, you would have gone right.
You're just making it cruel. You're just making it cruel even more.
Cruel.
Your dad picked you up and threw you into the pool after it because you were whining.
Not cool, dude. Not cool.
Hey, he didn't remember that.
He's laughing.
He didn't remember that part?
He's laughing his butt off right now.
I am. It was a fun time. We laughed. You cried. It was all good.
Jesus! Can you tell this guy to back off?
Watch the language. Watch the language.
Watch your language.
My language?
Watch the language.
I'll watch my language.
Language? That's not even a word you said.
Then why do you say it?
Hey, tell him who the end boss is in Super Mario Brothers.
Me?
Yeah. Who's the end boss in Super Mario Brothers?
Browser. What? Who?
He always says browser, and I'm like, no, Internet Explorer's not in this game.
I say browser because it's browser.
It's Bowser, not browser.
You're a browser, you Bowser.
Got it the second time.
Right. For the win. All right.
All right. Well, we're at our hour time limit. Did we want to wrap it up with one more link here?
Yeah. I mean, sure. That's
good.
Can you hear me?
So yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're a doll. So I think this is a good link to wrap it up on. You're up thousands of miles in space, floating above the Earth, and you look out the window to see a chip in the window. Probably the last thing you would want to see on the International Space Station.
That's
a chip in the window.
Okay, but you would see a chip floating in space.
A chip floating in space?
Yeah, you said in the space when you're far deep in space, and then you said something about chip.
Yeah, a chip in the window. So the only thing blocking you from being in outer space is that window, and that window's cracked.
Oh, like a little crack,
With a chip. That's actually smart, but that chip actually, that's not smart. It's smart and not smart. Because that chip would break.
Yeah.
And that would be your only snack left in space. So why would you use it to sacrifice yourself
It's not a Dorito. It's not a Dorito.
I thought you were talking about Doritos too, okay?
A chip in the window, a crack in the window. What is it called?
Okay, so no, you're like what he's saying is like you're in space, right? And you're in a space shuttle or a space station or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there's a window between you and
space, and it cracks.
Yeah.
And then you put chip there.
The chip may save you from the chip in the window.
Well, how is that going to help?
It's not going to help. It's not.
Then why would you say it? You make no sense.
It's true. I don't. I do not make any sense.
He's using the word chip to mean like crack or defect.
Because it's not really a crack in the window. The window has
not like a microchip or like a potato chip or a Dorito
I was thinking about just a chip.
Yeah, potato chip. are you thinking about poker chips, you gambler?
No, I'm just thinking about regular chips.
Hey, man, your microphone works. You ain't got to yell.
Don't tickle me, I'll pee in your face.
They're gonna love this.
Why did I not think of that?
You crazy person!
Alright, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Fool 54198 points out that a piece of metal flying in space could cause that chip in the glass as well. And that's another concern too of having a space station is there is a lot of space junk up there. Like we've already littered our orbit with tons of crap already, so it's actually pretty dangerous to have a satellite or fly around in space near orbit. What was that you said about language, Nick? He's muted, so.
Wait, Matt. What?
Demute it.
It is demuted, sir.
So can they hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, but
you just make so many
Go
excuses.
this
You're
mirrored.
so mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a horribly mean person. All right. Well, that was
Thanks for that. He was sick. That's
our
awesome.
last link. So let's wrap her up. Proctor, where'd you go? You can't wrap it up if you leave, man.
I'll be right back.
Proctor, come back. Proctor.
Why does it have your face on every foolishit.com? You're so weird. You have nothing in common. Now put your work signal up. Put your work face. Put your work face on there. Put your work face on there.
What are you talking about?
Put your work.
Ready to end broadcast?
Yeah. On this fun note, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thanks everyone for joining us. Futures Tech Crew, Phoenix, Glenn, and everyone for being there. We'll be back on Monday morning at 8 a.m. So, see you all there.
Stop that!
What?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody can see anybody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're creepy. Get this creepy face off me.
Okie dokie.
Don't get that creepy face